Hey everybody, my name is Christian Aldo and welcome to the Plastic General. On today's episode, we're going to be going into Germany proper and we're going to be entering some German city I've never heard of before, along with General Bradley's armor division. And we're going to see what we can see. Sound exciting? Uh-oh, I gotta go. Okay, I gotta go to war. It feels good to be back in the Plastic General studio shooting another episode. You know, we had a little bit of a summer break, but now we're back. And so we're going to get right into it, and we're going to start off with some of the classics that came in the early 2000s. Of course, there was the infamous 21st Century Toys, and they were an extremely prolific company that was around for just 9 years, I think, and they made more product than anybody could ever imagine. And then also we're going to review some product by Forces of Valor, who actually is still alive and kicking and still releasing things. But we're going to go back and we're going to look at some of their more classic releases. So the first classic sets we're going to look at are by 21st Century Toys, and man, were they ever prolific. They released 4 sets of U.S. infantry in succession, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and each set had 6 poses in them. And I have to admit, there's so much stuff that even I forget what figures are in what sets, but they're all basically U.S. infantry. So the first pose, second, and third are U.S. infantrymen with Garand, kneeling and throwing grenade, kneeling, firing a U.S. grease gun, and running with a Springfield rifle. And there you have it. Poses 4, 5, and 6. Figure firing a flamethrower, and walking cautiously with, walking casually with a rifle, and here walking with rifle upwards. Basically, it's going to be me entering that German city. Poses 6, 7, and 8. Oh, you know, one of the criticisms of the 21st Century Toys figure sets was they had too many guys like standing around doing nothing, drinking from canteens and just gazing in each other's eyes. Here you have standing sharpshooting rifle. This guy is drinking from his canteen, which is always needed, and they should do like 9 poses of canteen drinkers. And this guy is just like me. This was me, walking with the bazooka. Obviously, these guys have nothing to worry about, as you will see in the battle. Poses 10, 11, and 12. We have one figure kneeling with his Browning machine gun. This guy is, he's firing a grease gun from waist, and this figure is firing a Browning, a bar gun, from waist, but the tip was broken off. I was too excited when I was playing with this figure. Poses 13, 14, and 15. Again, we have yet another figure with the much-needed canteen drinker. And he has his knapsack slung, his backpack. This figure here has a grease gun, and he's throwing a grenade. And this figure here is holding on to his walkie-talkie. But they are nice figures. And poses 16, 17, and 18. Is that even a real pose? Yeah, I guess it is. 16, 17, and 18. This figure is just standing, bewildered, holding a bar. And this figure is advancing, holding his bar machine gun. Browning automatic machine gun. And this figure is pointing You always need a good pointer, pointing, telling people what to do, and holding his grease gun. So here they are in all their glory, U.S. infantry, and there seem to be 18 poses, and they're still out there. They're very gettable, and sometimes forgettable. I love them. So the first vehicle we're going to cover today is the M4A3 Sherman by Forces of Valor. This one came out basically right from the beginning. It's a great die-cast metal tank. It's beautiful. It's got a nice figure that comes with it. The hatch opens on the top. It's a little bit, I think it's a little bit later of a design of the Sherman. These are the front hatches. They open up, and it's got the gun. And there were some sandbags that came with it. You could pile them on top of the front. And it's got the earlier style suspension before the E8s came out. And then this back here would be a stowage compartment. And it's got a 76 millimeter gun. And it was a decent tank. You can see these squares here on the side. It was extra armor sort of welded to the hull. But the Germans, they noticed if the Americans had put the white star there, but the Germans said they realized that if they fire at the star, that's a great way of putting the tank out. So I guess it wasn't a good idea to put the star as an aiming point or as a bullseye. So here it is, the 132 scale, Forces of Valor, M4A3 Sherman. Now for our next goodie. This is a goodie, so pay attention, guys. Look at this. This is a 132 scale Easy 8 by Tamiya. This is the same tank that was in Fury. I was even thinking of writing Fury on the side of the gun. Now let me explain why Tamiya made a bunch of World War II tanks accidentally into 132 scale. When they first started the line of armor, they had every intention of making their tanks 132 scale, but they started to make mistakes in the modeling, and they made things too small, which became 135th scale. But also some others they did correctly, like they did the Easy 8, the M10 Wolverine, and they also did the Jackson, all in 132 scale, and they're all vintage, and they were motorized also. I think you can see on the bottom there was a little lever here to make them motorized, but I don't want them to be motorized. But this is a fantastic kit. Here's a figure, so it shows you can scale. So this 100% is 132 scale. And even though Forces of Valor supposedly will be coming out, with an Easy 8 in the future, in the meantime, hunt down those Tamiyas, man. They're fantastic. And it's worth putting a model kit together to get something that does not exist in 132 scale toy form. So there you go. Fury by Tamiya. Okay, so when you have U.S. infantry, of course you got to fight somebody. So who are you going to fight? German infantry, also made by 21st Century Toys. And they went even further. Oh my God. I was dropping sweat, literally, in front of you. Oh. So, 21st Century Toys did the same thing with the Germans. Actually, I think they went a bit further. They made about 6 or 7 or 8 sets. But we're going to cover 3 of them here. So about 6 figures in each set. And I'm just going to mix them all up. You know they're out there. So anyway, the first 3 figures, running poses 1, 2, and 3. Running with a Mauser, and he has a helmet cover on. And I'll just do this for some of the World War II dummies. He has a tent. He has a little tent pack on his back. He's got a little canteen and food pouch, and he's running with his Mauser. This figure is just standing on guard opening up his ammo pouch on his belt. And this figure seems to be like running up to a fence and he's ready to stop, think what he's going to do. And all three are wearing sort of regular German helmet covers, not SS covers. 3, 4, and 5. These two figures here seem to be advancing with MP40 submachine gun, or Schmeiser, as it's well known. And this figure is some sort of officer firing a Walter P38 pistol. Now, you'll notice that all of my 21st Century Toys figures, they all have these flat bases, and the bases tend to be, about 2 millimeters thick. It's because I don't like the big, bulky, ridiculous bases that the figures originally came on. It limits their use. These next guys here, we have a German commander, and he's walking, you know, he looks a little off to one side like, oh, he's been having some beer. And this guy, this figure was originally had one leg on a, Oh, this guy originally came with one of the German half-tracks, but it was kind of a wonky figure. You never really know what to do with it. So I sort of glued him onto an ammo box. And this guy's walking with 2 Panzerfausts. So the next 3 poses, you have a sentry, and he's standing on guard. This figure here looks like in a hurry he's opening up an ammo pouch. And this figure is just a guy standing there with his MP40 machine gun, submachine gun, waiting for something to happen. There's a lot of kind of like random sort of Dewey figures in this sort of set. A lot of combat, which is great. But when you release lots and lots of poses, then it's okay because Dewey figures make doing fun. So like you can have like setups of guys guarding a castle or doing this or that. We have a commander holding on to his Schmeiser, and he's pointing, I love it when these guys it's so classic for figures to point. And this guy's smoking a cigarette, and he's holding on to his MG42, and he's, originally, the figure was standing on a bucket turned upside down, but I thought an ammo box would be more appropriate, and this figure is kneeling sharpshooting. And all of these figures in all of these sets are regular German Wehrmacht, which means the regular German army. So these 2 figures here, you have a guy sort of advancing, and he's firing his MP40 from waist. And this guy has an MP40 slung, and he's throwing a German hand grenade potato masher, they call them. Or, well, we call them potato mashers. Now, this figure was a seated figure, and he came with one of the German vehicles as a tank rider or riding in a vehicle. It's a nice figure, but my favorite one is this one. Now, this figure, when it was first released, he sort of was like this on a base with the arms slightly different because he was a figure getting shot. And if anyone knows the Plastic General, I usually don't like getting shot figures. They are fun as a novelty sometimes, but I like some good, useful figures. So what I did is I modified him so that now he can be on the ground or crawling on rubble and stuff and firing his machine gun, which is just a little bit more useful and a little more interesting. And if I want him to be dead, I have him do this. Bleh. There, now he's dead. Now he's dead. Now he's alive. So there they are, the boys from Berlin, 21st Century Toys, German Infantry in 132 scale, sets 1, 2, and 3. Have fun. They're on eBay. They're out there. Go hunt them down. And they're still affordable. So if you're going to have German Infantry, you're going to need German armor. And the first one we're going to look at is the Legend. This is a late war German Tiger 1 tank made by 21st Century Toys, and it's of course in 132 scale, and this is a very nice specimen. This is the latest version before they moved on to the Tiger 2. So, let's start off here. Let's have a little tour around the Tiger One. It's a huge, it's a gigantic and a heavy tank. It's about 55 to 58. I think it's 58 tons. I think. It came with a really nice commander, and this guy seems to be holding a compass in his hands. But let's more importantly look at the top here. You have an 88 millimeter gun, and it's long range. You can blow people away from, let's say, 1.5 miles away or 2 kilometers. It's got the commander's cupola, so they can look through every one of these little viewports in safety, so they don't get pecked off by a sniper. You have the gunner's escape hatch. Over here, you have another escape hatch. If you get hit, you can escape. But it's hard to kill a tiger. But it can be done. Ask that guy from that series, Netflix series, Tiger King. He killed tigers. So back here is the hatch for the motor. But no, 21st Century Toys did not feel the need to give us a motor. Get your own motor. So I did. Oh, and these things, no, they don't open either. But these are the vents at the back. Some spare tank treads. This is a stowage compartment here where you put like tools. And back here is the some sort of thing. And you start the tank back here by turning a crank, and it lights the thing on, lights it up. It's got really, really big wheels here on the side, road wheels. And it's got big tank treads. Oh, up front here is the driver. The driver would sit here, and the radio man would be sitting here. And he'd also would operate the machine gun if needed, and famously, one of the best ways to try to kill a Tiger tank was get behind the Tiger tank and fire in its bum. You got to hit it in the bum. If you do that, the least amount of armor is back here in the rear, and you'll catch the motor on fire. And almost always the tank crews get out. Usually survive, unless somehow you penetrate through the side. It happens once in a while, but mostly that's how it works. So this is the 132 scale 21st Century Toys Tiger One tank, and it's a 132 scale, and they're out there. They made 1 million of these, so they're very gettable. You can paint them up. You can do whatever you want with them. They're fantastic. I highly recommend them. And before we go into battle today, I'm going to review one more vehicle, and this one is by Forces of Valor. It is a German Hanomag, which is like a German half-track, armored half-track. And it comes in 2 figures, but I'll talk about them in a second. But what this is a later war half-track. So what they did is they took some of their regular troop transporters. That's what this was. It would accommodate 10 crew members. You have a driver, a radio person. If this was a regular one, a rider, a radio person here, and then I think 8 troops sitting in the back. And but what they did for the later part of the war is they decided to sacrifice some of them and make them put 75 millimeter short barrel guns that were left over from the Panzer IVs. And there's a little scope up here. So let's do a little tour around this thing. So you have the front headlights, you have the hatches that open in the front, revealing the motor. You have the 75 millimeter short gun. A commander, like here, the gunner would be here. The driver would be. Oh no, the gunner would be. The loader would be here, and the gunner would be here. So actually, let's put that into action. So we have one figure here. He is the gunner. So he's sitting in that seat, and he's looking into the scope. See? And then this guy is a loader, and he is loading the 75 millimeter shell into the gun. Hey, look at that. I just broke the light. I just broke the light off of this, but that's okay. Forces of Valor, you got to see it this way. Forces of Valor has so many little parts on there. They're always breaking off, so you just got to glue them on, so I'll just throw them in the back here. The back hatch opens up. See that? So you can escape if you're hit. Oh, and there's another cool detail too. There's a little trunk here that contains ammunition. There's actually little ammunition shells in there. I can't get them out. You can get them out. I just put them in there. If you get in on there, you see little brass ammunition. And it's a really nice vehicle, as long as it doesn't break. But you got your loader in here. So, this has been reissued many times in many different paint schemes. Even did a winter version of this. And it's a great vehicle. Comes in handy when defending towns and moving around and causing trouble. So, wait, what's that sound? Uh-oh. I think somebody's entered that town, that little town. Nobody can pronounce the name. Today. If you like the show, please remember to hit the subscribe button and hit the little bell so you can be notified about future episodes. And if you have any comments, make your comments. Any criticisms, hate mail. I love hate mail. And also, donate to our cause, man. It costs money to buy real, authentic World War II bazookas like this one. My name is Christian Aldo. I'm the Plastic General. We'll see you next time. I hope I can keep this thing.